chest, lost school dreams and a future dressed. She laughed too loud, she stayed too late, left her name in every room she made. And one hard night the door went still, and grief has been calling the hill. 25 years and the candles burn, questions circle with no return. They named the man and closed the file, but something in the shadows stayed a while. Will the truth come out? Will the truth come out? Who was close enough to leave that doubt? Will the truth come out? Will the truth come out? 25 years on, we're still calling out. Edric stood under borrowed blame, a headline pinned to a living name, but paper folds and stories bend, and the wrong road can still pretend there's someone nearer in the smoke, a familiar face, a half-spoken joke, a door left open, a lie held tight, a hand that knew her on that night. 25 years and the candles burn, questions circle with no return. They named the man and closed the file, but something in the shadows stayed a while. Will the truth come out? Will the truth come out? Who was close enough to leave that doubt? Will the truth come out? Will the truth come out? 25 years on, we're still calling out. Her books still wait in the dark for one clean name, one honest mark. If guilt was hidden in plain sight, then let it break. Find morning light. One closer look, one final thread, one spoken truth for the dead. Let the silence lose its crown. Let the truth come out now. Will the truth come out? Will the truth come out? Who was close enough to leave that doubt? Will the truth come out? Will the truth come out? 25 years on, we're still calling out. Will the truth come out? Will the truth come out? Tara, we're still here till the truth comes out.
Anyway, good morning, everybody. Can you hear me, Malin? I have a new mic, so I need to make sure you can hear me. Can you hear me? Can you hear me better if I'm this close to the mic? Anyway,
I'm gonna give her a kiss too.
it's a little low. Is that better? Is that better?
But come on.
Is that better?
Basically. Okay.
Hey, stop it. Sorry, my husband's not home. Is that better? I think I turned the volume all the way up. Hello, hello, hello. Hello. Okay, let's go with that. Because it seems to be much louder on the sensor, flashy light thingy. Hey, I said out now. Get out. Okay. Good morning, everybody. Some housekeeping before we get started. I think the cat's stuck in the blanket. Yay. Ladybug, did you get yourself stuck? It is going to be one of those days. Hang on. I gotta go. Before she gets hurt. Stop, baby. Stop. Stop pulling on it. Stop, baby. Stop, 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 stop. Hey, stop. Babe. Ladybug, stop. There you go. Sorry, y'all. Between the kids and the cats, we have a lot going on in our house right now. Okay, so please like, share, and subscribe. Do all the YouTube things. Donations are never expected but always appreciated. Cash App NGM1984YT, Venmo at NGM1984, buy me a coffee at NGM1984. I also have a Amazon wish list for the kiddos to keep them busy this summer while I'm streaming. It is already posted in the chat. Thank you, Maylin. If you have any cases you would like me to watch, or you would like to join my Discord, please email me at ngm1984yt@gmail.com, and you can follow me on X at ngm1984yt, and you can follow me on Facebook at ngme. Okay, we are going to play the Wednesday song so I can deal with what's going on, and then we will get started with the Here's this.
Monday dragged me low. Tuesday took its toll. Now I'm halfway there. Got one eye on the goal. Clock is crawling slow, but I know it's real. The worst of it is past. Now I start to feel. I've been carrying weight. Now I do my best. We made it through the grave. Hump day, the week bends my way. Halfway, I'm breathing out today. Hump day, we made it through the
Okay, we are back. So I am going to get this started. It is day 6, the start of day 6 in the Georgia v. Faust trial. Just a reminder, this Friday, we may not be doing trial coverage. Friday, we will probably be, if it's televised, we will probably be covering his motion to dismiss or the motion for a new trial hearing. And yeah, what that stuff. So, and then Friday night, like I said before, is the fundraiser for his appellate fund. My computer's being done this morning. Sorry, y'all. Hang on. Sorry. So Friday night, starting at 6 p.m. Eastern, I'm hosting a fundraiser for his appellate fund so we can raise the money to hire Brian Steele, who apparently is a really good appellate attorney in the state of Georgia. And I'm looking to hopefully have some pretty cool guests surrounding and involved that were involved in this trial, or were there, or things like that. So yeah, let's get started with this, and we will go from there. Stop it! Ooh. I haven't really think of this.
Family, her siblings, her parents. Okay. And do you know what she was doing?
No. Okay. So today is a big day. Today is Chris Mountain Day. Woo! One second. Okay. So yeah, let's get into this. So Chris Milton, if you don't know, if you are just joining today, haven't been watching, Chris Milton was Carol Baker's boyfriend at the time of her death. Can you guys hear me? I didn't know if you could hear that, but so it is Chris Milton Day, y'all. Chris Milton was Tara Baker's boyfriend at the time of her death, and Chris Milton is the person that the defense, Edric's defense, was pushing hard to use as their third-party culprit, because of the DNA and stuff like that. So it's gonna get wild today. So I don't know how long we'll go today, but we will definitely get through his testimony, all of his testimony.
State calls Mr. Chris Melton.
547. Is the state ready?
State's ready, Judge.
Is the defense ready? You may call your next witness, Mr. Yelmichilli.
State calls Mr. Chris Melton.
Could you get Chris Melton? Thank you.
Sir, if you would, please raise your right hand and take an oath. Do you swear or affirm testimony you'll give to the court today be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, if you would, please have a seat and state and spell your name for the record, and just speak towards the microphone both now and when you're giving your answers, please.
Chris Melton, CHRISMELTON.
And Mr. Melton, where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Loganville,
All right.
South Walton County, and got an address, but I went to Loganville High School and School District.
Okay. And did you graduate from Loganville High School?
Yes, sir.
What year was it that you graduated from Loganville High School?
1996.
After you graduated from Loganville High School, did you go to college anywhere?
Yes, sir. Georgia College in Millersville.
Okay. Back when you were in high school, did you play any sports?
Yes, sir. Football, track, a year of golf. I was pretty busy with sports and involved with school.
Once you got to Georgia College, where is Georgia College?
It's in Millersville, Georgia.
All right. When you got there, did you try to get connected with anything that was sports related?
Yes, sir. Once I was there, I wasn't on any type of sporting team, and I kind of missed the interaction. I missed being involved with the school. And I actually had a friend that I had made along the way that had come and introduced me to the cheerleading squad. And I thought that was interesting. So that's where it started there. Yes, sir.
Had you done any cheerleading before that or anything?
No, sir.
All right. Did you take to it pretty well?
I did.
Okay.
I was pretty athletic, and with the coaching and so forth and the support, it came pretty easy. Yes, sir.
Did you end up finishing your degree at Georgia College or leaving before you finished?
I left before I finished.
Okay. And so I want to go to your time while you were actually there at Georgia College. Did you ever meet a young lady by the name of Tara Baker?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How'd you meet Tara?
I met Tara through actually one of the cheerleaders I had become friends with, Phil Peavy, and his sister was Ashley Peavy. And that was one of Tara's closest friend, if not best friend. And that was how we had the introduction.
And Ashley Peavy, does she have a different name now? Is she married?
Yes, I believe it's Ashley Hall.
Okay. And if you pardon me for just a minute, I'm going to pour myself a glass of water. Would you like a glass of water?
Yes, sir, please.
So Ashley Peavy, who is Ashley Hall, now introduced the two of y'all. When you left Georgia College, where did you go?
Once I left Georgia College, I moved back home with my parents.
So when you and Tara met at Georgia College, did y'all ever go on any dates or anything?
Yes, actually, the first date we had was her sorority, 80 Pi sorority formal, and she did not have a date. And I was approached, would I be interested in being her companion for the evening? And I was all for it. Yes, sir.
Okay.
That was our first date.
At the time, was Tara someone you were interested in romantically?
Before that, I would say no, sir.
Okay.
We had introductions, and I thought she was gorgeous, but I wasn't pursuing. No, sir.
Okay. And so when did your relationship become more serious after you left Georgia College?
Yes, sir. We the night of the formal, we kind of had a spark. And while I was at the school, we kind of just would cross paths and so forth. But in social events and so forth, but our relationship took off after I had left, and she had moved back to her parents, and we got reconnected. And that's when it really became an exclusive relationship.
And you said when she went back to her parents, do you know where her parents were living?
Her parents lived in Lovejoy.
Okay. And do you know what she was doing when she went back home?
She went back home. She started working at a law firm, a real estate law firm.
in Lovejoy?
I believe it was.
Okay.
There in the vicinity.
While she was at Georgia College, do you know what kind of student Tara was?
She was an incredible student.
Okay.
So,
How long, if you know, did it take her to graduate from Georgia College?
I believe it was early. I believe she was a year early on her graduation.
Okay. And do you know how many degrees she graduated with?
You have two.
All right. How did that compare to you as a student?
She outperformed me by all means. In most, I would say.
And I'm sorry, I cut you off. You said "and most." Is
I
that
would say
right?
in most, yes, sir.
Okay. When you got home and college didn't work out for you or wasn't for you, what were you trying to do with your life, or what did you decide to get into?
Well, I was introduced to a plumbing ad in a newspaper by my mother the first day that I made it home. I came down the stairs, and as I turned the corner, she's sitting at the dining room table with the newspaper open and had already highlighted a plumbing job that was advertised. And she said, You're going to work.
Yeah. So you weren't just going to get to hang out and watch TV, I guess. Is that
Yes,
right?
sir.
Okay. Is that something you began to pursue kind of more seriously than just passing the time and making a little bit of money?
Yes, once I got involved, it actually became interesting. It seemed like a different side of my brain was activated. It was actually fairly easy to me. I'm not downplaying what the tasks are, but it's something I connected with very quickly. My father's side, he was a very good engineer, fabricator, pipe fitter. He wasn't necessarily a plumber, but he could build and take down and reconstruct about anything you could think of.
Okay. And were you and your dad pretty close?
Oh, very tight.
Okay. Is he still with us?
Unfortunately, no.
Okay. And when did he pass away?
May 26th of 2024.
And so I want to get back to you and Tara's relationship as you're living with your parents and she is back home with her folks in Lovejoy. Around what year is this?
98.
Okay. Did you text a lot of people back in 1998?
I don't think I could text in 1998.
All right. So how is it that you and Tara were able to reconnect after she gets home and you're home?
While I was still at Georgia College, we had started having affections for each other. We weren't in a relationship, but each time that we crossed paths, our eyes would lock and we'd smile and spend some extended period of time together. And during that time, before I left, she had found me on campus and made sure that I had her information back to Lovejoy, where her parents were, her phone number, her address, and she had written it on an index card. And once she handed that to me, I folded it up, put it in my wallet, and made sure I never lost it.
Okay. And so how far away from each other were y'all living during that time period?
Quite a distance.
Okay.
I would say.
As best you can recall, do you remember how long it took to drive from your parents' house to her parents' house, roughly?
Hour and a half, hour 45 minutes.
Okay. How did the relationship progress? Was it something that started quickly or slowly, or how did that happen?
Well, it progressed with the first phone call. I reached out, and our first conversation, it was like we had been talking the whole time. And I recall spending 2+ hours with her on the phone, and it just came naturally. And I recall her just being so funny, so smart. She was intriguing. She just bragged about her family, her siblings, her parents, what they did, and the conversation would just naturally roll out. And that made me want to continue to speaking with her and further on. And then we spoke day after day after day, and then I was invited out to her home for our first visit and then pretty much our first date.
Okay. After your first visit and first date, how often would y'all get to see each other in person?
On the weekends, mostly. She was working, I was working, and we would see each other like Friday night or like a Saturday night, what was available, working with our schedules. Never spent the night. It was just always a day visit, the night through the evening, and then either, I would have to leave, and then we would find things to do, locally or at her parents' house. We'd watch movies or spend some time with the family and whatnot. But that's how it slowly progressed there.
Sure. As you continued that relationship, did you learn anything about Tara's plans for the future?
Yes, she had admirations to go to law school. And at first I remember she wanted to be a Supreme Court justice at one point, if I'm not mistaken. And then she got into, when she was working at the real estate law firm, that sparked her interest. She started getting more involved in that. And I think she liked the, as she would say, happy law. And that kind of fit her and suited her personality better.
Okay. And so did she have plans to go to law school?
Yes, sir.
Is there anywhere in particular that she wanted to go to law school?
UGA.
All right. And is that something she was able to accomplish as far as being able to attend UGA Law School?
Yes, sir.
All right. And do you recall when it is that let me ask it this way. Did Tara end up moving out of her parents' house?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Where did she move to?
Her first apartment was Timothy Woods.
Okay. Timothy Woods. Where is that? What city?
That is in Athens.
All right. And when, if you recall, did she move to Timothy Woods?
99, I would say, around that time, 90, 99.
Okay.
Somewhere in that area.
So when she first moved to Athens, did she move here to start law school or to start something else?
When she moved to Athens, she had a job at another law firm. Excuse me.
Was that law firm in Athens?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And do you remember how long roughly she worked there until she started law school?
Yes, sir. I would close to a year,
okay.
I believe.
And so when is it that Tara started law school?
2000.
All right. And I want to back up and talk about what you were doing in this time frame. We talked about you had kind of found a home in plumbing. It was something that suited you and that you learned pretty quickly. Is that something that you were continuing to pursue?
Yes, sir.
All right. And so were you working for a company or how were you working as a plumber during that time period?
Okay. When I began, I worked for a company named Car Plumbing, and they had great ownership, great superintendents, great instruction, and that made things easier. And once I was there and I was exposed to the environment and blueprints and the procedures, it sparked me. I was a hands-on person. I like putting things together, and so that helped me in actually pursuing plumbing in itself. I could see the potential. The owners of the business were very well off. They were very successful. So I saw a future in that, and that was a goal at that point. I could see that maybe this is something I need to stick with.
Did you ever move out of your parents' home?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And when you did, where did you move to?
I moved to Jamestown North in Athens.
Okay. Do you recall where in Athens those apartments are, or what type of residence was it?
They're more or less like townhomes, 2 stories that are close proximity attached, and South Millage Avenue is where they're located.
Okay. And when is it that you moved to Athens?
I moved to Athens in 2000.
All right. So at this point, how long had you and Tara been dating as a couple?
I would say over 2.5 years.
Okay.
At that point, around 2 years.
And so you moved to Athens when in 2000? I'm sorry.
I believe it was in April of 2000.
Okay. And so you're in Athens also. This is the first time that y'all are living back in the same town since y'all were in Georgia College. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. And it's the first time you're living in the same town since your relationship has been serious over the last 2 years or so. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. But y'all are living in 2 separate places, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. How often would you get to see Tara once you moved to Athens?
Definitely, I was happy because we did get to see each other more often. I could see her pretty frequently on a daily, if not a daily basis, multiple times a week, upwards of 5 days a week.
Okay. And so we talked about the Timothy Woods address that Tara lived in from 99 to 2000. Did she move somewhere else in Athens around the time she was starting in law school?
Yes, sir. I believe it was Deer Park.
Okay. Who did she live at Deer Park with?
She lived with, at the time, Ashley Peavy and Valerie Lang. I believe it was Valerie's last name.
All right. And Ashley Peavy, you mentioned her before from Georgia College. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. How is it that Tara knew Valerie?
I believe she met her through Ashley. I think it was Ashley's old roommate, but previous roommate before.
All right. And so were Ashley and Valerie seeing anyone romantically?
Yes. Ashley was in a relationship with Chris Hall, who she's married to now, and they met in Milledgeville also, from my understanding. Valerie, I wasn't familiar with their relationship, and I'm sorry, but I can't quite remember his name.
Well, and that's okay. So would you ever go over to Tara's residence once you moved to Deer Park?
Yes.
Okay. And would Tara come over to your residence at Jamestown?
Yes, sir.
Did y'all ever spend the night with each other?
Yes, sir.
All right. And so would she spend the night more often at your residence than you would at hers?
The majority of the time would be my place.
Okay. Were there times though when you would stay over at her place sometimes?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And were there times when you would go and hang out there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you have a key to that residence at Deer Park?
No, sir.
All right. Are you aware of any of the boyfriends having keys to that residence at Deer Park?
No, sir.
Okay. All right. So I want to talk to you a little bit about what that law school experience was like for Tara. Once she started in law school, would that have been, August of 2000? Does that sound right?
Sounds right.
Okay. What was that experience like for her as far as academically and time constraints and things like that?
It was a new challenge. Her academics previously, I would say, came pretty easily to her. And then when she started law school, it was more consuming and definitely much more of a challenge.
Okay. Is that something that kind of compressed y'all's free time?
Yes.
I can rephrase
All
the
right,
question.
I'll stand it, allow you to rephrase if you choose to.
How did law school affect Tara's free time?
It definitely consumed more of her free time.
Okay.
She had to spend more time there.
And so at this point, you're in Athens. Where are most of your plumbing jobs happening, though?
Walton County, Gwinnett County, some in Rockdale County, and the northern side of Forsyth, and sometimes even in Hall.
Okay. So all west of Athens.
Correct.
Okay. Who were you working for back then?
I started with McCart Plumbing, and I worked for them for 2.5 years, I would say. And there was a point that after I really had the hang of it, and I really knew how to grasp, and I had been a crew leader at this point for multiple years, I decided that I think I was going to pursue a stepping stone, which at that point would be referred to as subcontracting. And so at that point, you would purchase your own vehicle, your tools, your equipment, you would have your own insurance, and you would have your own employment as far as employees that would work for you.
Okay. And so you're getting ready to try to take this next step that you just described. Is that right?
That's correct.
All right. Well, I want to back up a little bit and talk about that and kind of the broader context of you and Tara's relationship. Obviously, Tara's a very high achieving person. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, sir. She is a large motivation for me to so early want to pursue the next step.
And you mentioned it right there. You called it a motivation. Were you ever intimidated or discouraged or upset by Tara's achievements?
Never.
Okay. How did you take it?
I took it as a good thing. I took, I was supportive. I knew from the beginning her ambitions, and I always tried to be supportive in any way I could. And she did the same for me.
And so, we talked about when you were at McCart, you mentioned going out on your own subcontract and you got to get all this stuff for yourself. At McCart, were you using your own money to buy gas to go to jobs and fuel, or gas to go to jobs or other supplies or anything like that? Or was that part of what was given to you?
No, sir. Once you are a crew leader, you're issued a vehicle, gas card, all your equipment, tools, fittings, and so forth. Whatever's needed to complete the job, they supply.
Okay. So who was paying for gas when you were working for McCart and living in Athens and having to travel for jobs?
When I was working for McCart, they paid for everything.
Was that the case for you as a subcontractor trying to go out on your own, or was it different?
It was different. Yes, sir. And I was responsible fully for everything.
All right. And so at this time, where were your folks living?
They were living, it's a Covington address, but it's in Walton County.
Okay. And so that address, was that closer or further from most of your jobs than where you were living in Athens?
Much closer.
Okay. Based on that, did you make any decisions about how you were going to spend your time between Athens and other places?
Yes, sir. I had just started working for myself, maybe a week prior. Okay. And
I'm going to stop you just a week prior to what?
to Tara's death.
Okay.
Okay. I was within within a week I had started. What I had to make the decision was to stay at my parents due to the cost and the additional expense of the travel. I still wanted to keep my place in Athens. I had no intention of moving from there, but I did like having my place something close to Tara. So when we did have free time, we did have a place to meet, go. I could have my own space. But during the work days, I would stay at my parents'. That way I had a truck, a trailer for hauling equipment. They had the space, and they were roughly in one direction, 50 plus miles closer to most of my jobs.
Okay. And so at this point, and we're talking about January, within a couple of weeks of Tara's murder, do you still have your apartment at Jamestown?
That's correct.
Okay. How was the state of you and Tara's relationship, in those months leading up to her murder?
Everything was wonderful. It was difficult for us not to see each other as much as we would have liked, but we were both in the understanding that we were pursuing future paths for us to have a better future together. And so she was supportive of my pursuits, and I would be supportive of her pursuits, but our relationship was strong.
And you mentioned in order for us to have a future together, is that something that y'all talked about, a future together?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I want to talk with you about some difficult things, obviously. I want to talk with you in particular about the morning of, well, let's start with Thursday, January 18th, going into Friday, January 19th. Okay. Did you talk, and I don't want you to tell me what people said to you, okay, but did you talk to Tara on Thursday, January 18th?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what, if anything, was significant about that weekend that was coming up in a couple of days, sir?
It was her birthday.
Okay. And what was Tara's birthday?
It was the 20th.
All right.
And that would have been the Saturday coming up.
Did y'all have any plans for the weekend based on the fact that it was her birthday?
Yes, sir. She had, there was, I believe, law school students and even co-workers from the law firm, if I'm not mistaken. And we were going to go out and have a kind of a mixed mingle drink kind of social event in celebration of her birthday.
All right. Is that something you were excited about?
Absolutely.
Okay. Do you know how Tara felt about it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How did she feel about
She
it?
was excited.
All right. And then, I want to talk about January 19th of 2001. When you woke up that morning, what time did you get up, and what was your plan for the day?
Okay. I would have woken up somewhere between 6:30 to get ready. Josh McCurdy, who worked for me at the time, he would arrive at my house around 7:15, and then we would go from my house to Nash Plumbing. Nash Plumbing offered the ability to use my subcontracting abilities. Some companies would only work in-house employees, but Nash Plumbing would allow us to work there. So around 7:15, we went to Nash Plumbing to load up for a task. They would issue me that task that morning. We had just previously completed one within just a few days. Prior to that, we had started and finished it the day before. So at 7:30 to 7:45-ish, we arrived at Nash Plumbing to load up the materials for the next task. And then
I want to stop you for just a second there. You're saying you get assigned a task at Nash Plumbing. What do you mean by a task?
Okay. Well, Nash Plumbing has the licensing, the contract agreements with developers and contractors. They work the figure sides of things, the overall cost.
The bidding?
The bidding.
Okay.
Yes, sir. As a subcontractor, you are paid per fixture. And so there's a per fixture cost being such as something like and I did rough ends before the sheetrock went in the houses and so forth. The houses are studded when the roofing's put on. And so I would get the assignment from them. They would give me the address, the person, the superintendent whom I would meet, and then I would go to the job sites and I would lay out with them the blueprinting and so forth and what is intended to be installed. And they would supply me in return. Nash would give me the fittings, the pipes, the glue, the adhesives, the fasteners, whatever's needed to be installed. But I've supplied the trucks, the vehicles, the fuel, and the help and insurance. That's the agreement at that point.
Okay. And so I just want to back up. You mentioned an individual by the name of Josh McCurdy. Is that right?
Correct.
And you testified that that's someone who is working for you. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. How did you know Josh?
I met Josh when he came on to work for McCart Plumbing, and he actually ended up on my crew that I was in charge of. And when I decided to leave, he and I had a good relationship. We got along very well. I saw potential in him that he could gain in his abilities, and he was always reliable and so forth. I asked him, would you be interested to come work for me as I step out into this next leg? And he agreed. And that's where that started.
Okay. And I'm not going to ask you your full date of birth, but can you tell me what year you were born in?
78.
Okay. Sorry, I'm going to do that at the front end there. And so at this point, sorry, let's go back to January 19th of 2001, now that we have a little explanation of how the business model worked between you and Nash Plumbing. So on January 19th of 2001, you said you went to Nash Plumbing to get your task. After you get your task, when you're working for Nash Plumbing, is there anything else you have to do while you're there?
Once they tell me the amount of fixtures, the size of the house, I have to load up the appropriate fittings, pipe, the linear footage that's needed to be installed. And then we load that onto my vehicle and we take it to the job site and we do the installation.
Typically, on average, how long does that process of determining what you need and then loading it all up, how long does that take?
Take anywhere from 45 minutes to even sometimes upwards of an hour and 15 minutes, an hour and a half.
Is that dependent on the size of the assignment that you've received or the task?
Can you guys hear me? Just checking because the light on my microphone turned off, so I was just checking. Okay.
Ask that you've received?
That's correct. Along with, there's other contractors there that hold, we'll say, the same contracting and subcontracting title, and they're also loading up. So sometimes you have to kind of move around and wait your turn to speak with the owner and so forth. But we're all kind of, if I'm there without other people, it can go much faster. But if it's a busy time like the subway or whatnot, so to speak, in the office, it can take you a little bit longer. And depending on the size of the house, yes, a small house takes less time than a large house to deploy materials.
After you did finish getting loaded up, where did you go next? I mean, I know it's been 25 years, but as best you recall, where did you go next?
I went to Wachovia in Loganville.
Okay. Is the Wachovia in Loganville, approximately how far away that is from Athens?
From Athens, 50 to 60 miles.
Okay. And about what time were you at Wachovia?
Right after they, I believe at the time opened, is around 9 o'clock, 9 to 9:10, somewhere in that area when I arrived.
And so when you got to Wachovia, did you go inside the bank?
I did.
All right. And what were you doing inside the bank that day?
At that point, I believe I was depositing a check and I was withdrawing money.
Okay. After you got done at the bank, did y'all leave?
That's correct.
All right. And where did you go?
From Wachovia, I believe I went to Truck Customs in Loganville just to talk to Bill, the owner. I had planned to have a ladder rack. We had talked about this and had something ordered in. There was a ladder rack that was going to be installed onto my work truck to help out. And that would be the next place, my recollection.
And I mean, Truck Customs, feel a little silly asking this question. Seems like it's right in the name, but what type of business was Truck Customs?
Okay. They would do modifications, all types of modifications, from tires to lift kits to toolboxes to ladder racks, anything that would help with work or appearance on vehicles.
So the first time you got to Truck Customs, you made reference to a pipe rack a few minutes, or probably not even a minute ago in your testimony. Was that ready to be installed when you got there the first time?
No, sir, it wasn't ready.
Okay. And so what did you do at that point?
Josh and I went to a house in Grayson. We had previously completed that, the installation. So with that being said, we had to fill the piping with water, pressurized on the water piping side, and then you fill the drain piping with water to have it ready for inspection for the county to come in. And it was my duty to go back and do an inspection to make sure that we didn't have any leaks or any corrections that had to be made.
All right. Were y'all able to complete that task?
Yes, sir.
All right. Was there anything else that y'all were supposed to be doing that day?
Yes, sir. We had to go to Forsyth, the house I had loaded up the materials for earlier that morning. From
your task or assignment from that morning from Nash?
That's correct.
Okay. All right. And where was that house?
That would have been, I believe, in the northern part of Forsyth County.
Okay.
In Forsyth County.
Did you go to that residence?
Yes, sir.
All right. And what phase of construction was this home in?
It was in the new development phase. So the foundation has been installed. The framing has been completed, excluding the roof. They had not put the decking on the roof, and they were in the middle of trying to get the decking put on. And it was, at that point, it was literally like raining that day, and rain was coming down inside of the house. And so I had the opportunity to meet with Mike, who was the superintendent. I'm not really sure who the contracted company was. I met with Mike, who was in charge of doing the layouts, and we got the blueprints, and we completed the layout for the house, and I unloaded the plastic fittings and piping because it wasn't really at risk of being stolen, not like copper piping. So I held onto that where I didn't have to haul that back and forth. And so we left that on the site.
Well, you mentioned risk of being stolen and copper piping. The stuff that you left at the site, is that stuff you can turn in for money at a salvage yard?
Not really, no, sir.
Okay. And so given the rain that was coming down, were you able to complete what your task was supposed to be that day?
No, sir.
All right. And why is that?
With the water coming into the house, my next step would have been pulling electrical cords and electrical equipment to drill the appropriate holes in their location. So once that happens, it's too high of a risk of electric shock. So we just didn't go any further with that.
Okay. Where did y'all go from Forsyth County, as best you can recall?
I believe we went back to Truck Customs. I just swung back in just to talk to Bill to get some measurements, make sure he could construct the pipe rack at that point, to the right lengths and distances and pinpoints, and it still wasn't ready at that point.
All right. And so where did y'all go next?
I recall going from there back to Nash Plumbing and speaking with Jody Nash, who is the owner's wife. This would have been a husband-wife operation, but they were successful and they had lots of work that was coming through. But Jody is the one that was in charge of getting us to our appropriate assignments and paperwork. And I went back there just to swing in to let her know, this is where we're at with the Forsyth house. And I will be coming back Monday, to get that house started.
And where'd y'all go after that?
We went back to my house. I went back to my parents' house. Josh's vehicle was there at this point. He could go back home. He lived in close proximity. Go back home. We're on some downtime for the moment because at that point, when I went to Truck Customs, we had established a time that I could return and it would be ready for the installation. I could leave the truck with him for an hour or so and he would complete the installation. And that's why we went back to my house for a short period of time.
Okay. And about what time of day would this have been at this point?
Okay. Arriving back at my house, that would have been maybe around 2 o'clock or so, 2 to 2:30ish. I know that we had agreed to meet back up at my house around 3:30 to 3:45 to make the trip back to Truck Customs in Loganville to drop off the vehicle. He followed me in his personal vehicle where we could leave the vehicle and then just kind of run around and do some personal things and errands and so forth while that installation was being completed.
And what time, if you recall, were you supposed to be back at Truck Customs or could be back at Truck Customs to pick up your truck?
That once it would take about an hour or so. Once I would drop it off at 4, it was going to take an hour 15 minutes, he said, to have the installation complete.
Okay. Did y'all ever go back to Truck Customs to get that installation done?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And about what time was that?
We arrived approximately around 4 p.m.
All right. While you were at Truck Customs, well, let me go back and ask this question. At that time period, what types of communication devices or ways that people could contact you did you have?
I had a pager, a cell phone / Nextel, if anybody recalls what Nextels were. So that's the Nextel aspect of it was mainly used through the contractors and glorified walkie-talkie. But I had a cell phone and a pager.
Yeah. Well, and just for folks that might not remember, and I think I remember, but can you explain what was it about those Nextel phones? You said was it glorified walkie-talkie? What do you mean by that?
All right, Nextels could only communicate with another Nextel, and so you didn't have a phone number, so to speak, but you had a pre-issued number that you could type in, and then basically you would push the button and speak, and then that would directly alert the other person on the other line, and they could hear you, and then you let off the button, and then the communication could continue back and forth.
So it wasn't necessarily like a ring and answer. It was almost like a system where you come on like a public address system.
More or less.
Okay. And so did you receive any kind of alert from anyone while you were at Truck Customs?
Yes, I received a page.
And that page, do you know who that came from?
It came from Miss Baker.
Okay. And when you say Miss Baker, are you talking about Tara or somebody else in her family?
Tara's mother, Virginia Baker.
Right. And if you recall, what was the initial page that you received?
If I can recall, I believe it was her home phone number that came through.
And did you reach out to Miss Baker?
Yes, sir. I reached out. I asked if I could use Bill's phone at Truck Customs, and he allowed me to use his phone for a moment to return the call.
Okay. And I don't want you to get into the specifics of words that someone said to you, but what did you learn when you called Miss Virginia Baker?
She had told me that there was a fire at Tara's residence. Her car is the only one in the driveway, and there was a body discovered in the fire.
Okay. In that moment, what was your reaction to hearing that information?
Devastated.
What, if anything, did you do right after that as far as where you were going to go or what your plan was or what you were trying to do?
I recall once I got the phone with Miss Baker, I kind of just was in shock and I had to take a moment. And I recall, I believe somehow either I ended up taking a knee or 2 knees or sat down on the floor to have a moment to recover in the showroom. And then once I came around, the attention was on me. And I remember Bill, I believe, reaching out and asking if I was okay. And Josh was like, "Are you okay?" And I looked at Josh and I said, "You need to get me to Athens right now." And he agreed.
Okay. So what did y'all do from there?
Josh took me in his vehicle. They had already taken my vehicle back for the installation. So we jumped in his vehicle and he drove. And as we're en route to Athens, I'm trying to reach out I'm calling 411, trying to find Ashley and Valerie's parents from their last name. And kind of at that time, I believe I knew Ashley was from Milledgeville area. And I can't recall now at the moment where Valerie was from, but I did at the time. And I had also, when I was on the phone with Miss Baker, she had stated there was a body in the fire and they did not know where Valerie or Ashley were at that moment. They had not made contact.
Was that part of the reason that you were trying to get a hold of them or their families?
Yes, I was.
I'm going to sustain that, ask you not to leave the witness.
Thank you, Judge. Why were you trying to get a hold of Ashley and Valerie?
I was trying to figure out where everybody was. With the information given to me, I already felt at heart that I knew who this was just based on whose car was in the driveway, but I was uncertain. And I wanted to reach out to her parents and anybody I could get a hold of to see if they had been in communication and also to inform them of what had happened.
Did y'all eventually arrive in Athens?
Yes, sir.
Okay. When you arrived in Athens, where did you go?
When I was what I can recall is when I was on the phone with Ms. Baker, I think Athens Clarke County had reached out to her and she informed me of that. So I reached out to Athens Clarke County and called, and I went straight to the police department is where I was told to go from the police department. They said, come straight here. And so that's where we were.
And I think that it's kind of indicated in your answer, but let me just ask it to clarify. When you say that you reached out to Athens Clarke County, is there a particular department or agency or part of Athens Clarke County that you reached out to?
Not that I recall. I think it may have just been like the main number at that time.
The main number for what?
For the police department.
Okay. All right. And so you went to the police department. At any point, did you leave the police department to go somewhere else?
Yes. Once I was there, they had asked me a few questions in a room, and then they asked me if I would identify her body.
What went through your mind when they asked you that?
I really did not want to agree at first because I was aware that there was a fire, and I didn't want to see any of them. You know, no matter who it was, I didn't want to see what devastation I may have caused, and it was difficult just to comprehend. And then the detective, he asked if I would identify the body because he did not want the parents to have to identify the body, and I could save them some grief, so I agreed.
Okay, we are going to go over what he just said again and tell me what you hear.
Comprehend. And then the detective, he asked if I would identify the body because he did not want the parents to have to identify the body, and I could save them some grief, so I agreed.
Where did you go at that point?
And first, any of them, you know, no matter who it was, I didn't want to see what devastation I may have caused, and
What devastation I may have caused? Is that what you heard? Because that's what I heard. Did he just tell on himself? Who knows?
it was difficult just to comprehend. And then the detective, he asked if I would identify the body because he did not want the parents to have to identify the body, and I could save them some grief, so I agreed.
Where did you go at that point?
They took me to Deer Park and they took me to the scene.
When you got to the scene, what did you do next?
Once we got out of the car, the detectives wanted to walk me into the house to identify her, and we were stopped at the door, I believe by a fireman, if I can recollect, and he said he cannot come in here. And at that point, they came up with a different plan. They walked me back to the curb and said, we're going to do this a different way. And they took a picture, and I got to identify her through a digital camera image from the camera itself.
I want to take you back to July 2000. Were y'all, when I say y'all, I mean you and Tara, were y'all celebrating anything special as far as a milestone or anything in that time period?
Yes, sir. Along the way of starting to date back when she was at her parents', when we kind of considered us exclusive, we both would agree upon that first date that when I came to visit would be our first, date line, timeline. And so it was July 4th weekend. And so July 4th, we considered that our anniversary. Yes, sir.
So July 4th of 2000, based on what you were saying, 1998, is that what you just said?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Okay. So what anniversary would that have been for y'all?
We're looking at, what's that, 99, 2000, close to, I would say 3 years.
Well, so from July of 1998 to July of 2000.
To 2000, okay.
Yeah.
99, 2000, 2 years. I apologize.
Did you get Tara anything special for that anniversary?
Yes, sir. I got her diamond-studded earrings.
How did she feel about that gift that you had gotten her?
Oh, she adored them. She realized, and we had discussions that, this is representation of where we've been and where we're headed. And once she put them in, to my knowledge, unless she was to clean them or whatnot, she always wore them. Every time I saw her, she always had these diamond earrings in.
On January 19th of 2001, did you talk with police about those diamond earrings at all?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
When I was shown the pictures of Tara, I was in utter shock, just in the moment. But as I got to gaze upon these pictures, it did not look like Tara. And I couldn't, for certain, even identify her. And it just came to mind, if this is Tara, she's wearing the diamond earrings. And so they returned into the house. And then he returned back to me. And when he opened his hand, he had one of those diamond-studded earrings. And that's when I knew for certain it was Tara.
So you see the diamond earrings, and do you communicate your certainty to them that that is Tara?
Yes.
Okay. At this point, about how many police officers are out there at the scene, as best you can recall?
I know just regular uniformed police officers, I would guesstimate maybe 3 or 4. But surrounding me at that very moment, if you include the person that's holding the camera, I'm not sure if these are detectives, there's approximately 4.
I'm sorry. I thought something was trying to get communicated to the bailiffs, Judge. So I just
Does anybody in the jury need something? Oh, okay. Thank you. All right, you may continue, Mr. Young.
thank you, Your Honor. So about 4 uniformed patrol, 3 or 4, and then you're surrounded by some detectives. Is that what you just said?
That's correct.
Okay. What type of feeling were you getting in your perception of the way that those detectives were interacting with you and talking to you?
Yes, Your Honor, speculation.
Mr. Young, any response?
Yes, Judge. I don't think that it's speculation to ask Mr. Melton what his perception of certain people's actions towards him were.
Overruled. You may continue.
Mr. Melton, I'll ask you the question again, sir. What was your perception of the way that those detectives surrounding you were treating you and speaking with you? And I'm not asking you to say what people said, but what was your perception of the situation?
I felt as if they were gazing upon me, and I could feel the intensity from them staring at me as they were angry. And I would say,
Did you?
anger.
That's all right. And if you could, I know it's difficult. All witnesses do it. Make sure that you speak clearly and loudly towards the microphone so that our court reporter is able to make a record. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Did you ever leave the scene that evening?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We went. Yes, I was taken back to the police department at that point. Yes, sir.
Okay. That night when you were at the police department, did you speak with law enforcement?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you do so voluntarily?
Yes, sir. As there was a point in time that I was taken back to the police department. My parents, I had called to inform them what had happened. They were they had difficulty of finding the location. They knew where I had an apartment at Jamestown North, so the police gave me, they took me in an unmarked vehicle back to my place where I could meet with my parents. And then my parents, we went back to the police station.
Okay. And is that the point at which you talked with police after your parents took you back to the police station?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you have a lawyer with you?
No, sir.
Did you ask for a lawyer?
No, sir.
When you spoke with the police that evening, did you tell them, or did you answer all their questions truthfully?
Yes, sir.
After that interview concluded, where did you go?
We were put up in a hotel, Holiday Inn, near the downtown area, and that was provided by the police department. They said you can. It was when it was all concluded. It was late, and it had been an emotional day, and we were all exhausted, and we were put up in a hotel room. My parents, my mother, my father, myself.
Well, and let me ask you this and back up a little bit. When you interviewed with the police on January 19th, did you have any kind of things on your hands from working?
Yes, sir. Which I usually did, like primer, and glue, solvents. You know, they can stain your hands. You know, primer is purple in color. Some may even say kind of purplish blue, and whatever it touches, it stains. Piping cement, it kind of adheres to you pretty well. And I had things such as, I believe that on my hands. Yes, sir.
Okay. So I want to go forward now to January 20th of 2001. This is the day after. At that point, did you ever return to those Jamestown apartments that you had an apartment at?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
My parents had taken me back to the apartment to grab a few things.
Well, let me ask you this, Mr. Melton. How do you typically deal with very stressful situations with difficult emotions involved?
Traditionally, I bottle it up inside, and I bottle it up inside and try to hold a secure presence for myself and the people around me. And yes, sir.
What happened on that day, on January 20th, the day after Tara's murder, once you got inside of your apartment, townhome, however you want to describe it?
Once we entered my apartment, my parents were with me, and I started having an extreme emotional moment. And they recognized that it was hard for me to hold it in any longer. And I do recall my parents coming to me and wrapping their arms around me and trying to get me to calm down. And in that moment, I actually felt claustrophobic. I felt restraint. And I remember pulling away from my father to get away from him. And then I spun around, and there was a wall in front of me at the bottom of the stairwell, and it was the sheetrock wall. And I just remember unleashing my emotions on the sheetrock wall, and I punched it. I don't know, maybe 30 times, maybe more.
Did that do any damage to that wall?
Oh, yes, sir.
Did it do any damage to your hands?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What kind of damage did it do to your hands?
It scratched my hands up. It swole my hands up. Fortunately, I didn't break anything, and I guess fortunately, I didn't find a stud in the wall. It was mainly sheetrock, and as I went through the sheetrock, I was finding, I believe it was the concrete siding on the outside. It was an exterior wall, so I was punching through the sheetrock and hitting the concrete siding to the outside, and I was knocking, to my knowledge, I was knocking the siding loose also.
Okay. The next day, that's January 20th of 2001, after you stopped at your townhouse apartment, whatever you want to call it, at Jamestown, where did you and your parents go after that?
We went back to my parents' house.
Okay. So on the 21st, did you speak with law enforcement again on that day?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what is it that you were going back to speak with them about and do?
I believe to answer further questions. At that point, they were asking for further information, to my knowledge.
Okay.
And once I got there, we had discussed blood work and other, blood work and other things that may be needed, like hair samples and such.
Okay. Was this something that you were having to do because of a court order or search warrant or something?
No, sir.
Okay. Is it something that you did voluntarily?
Absolutely.
Okay. At this point, we're 2 days away from January 19th. You've already testified about how you felt the police were looking at you. Did you take a lawyer with you to that meeting on the 21st?
No, sir.
Okay. Were you honest with police about the questions they were asking you to the best of your recollection?
Absolutely.
Stand, I'll ask you to rephrase if you choose to rephrase.
Okay. Did the police ask you questions?
Yes, sir.
Did you answer them honestly?
Yes, sir.
Okay. On that day, January 21st, were there any photographs taken?
They had taken pictures of my hands. I had to remove my shirt. They had taken pictures of my body, I believe, which included from my head to my waist, and I can't remember if I had to remove my pants, but I do remember from my waist up having to strip down to have photos taken also.
Okay. After you finished having photographs taken, did you end up having blood drawn?
Yes.
Okay. And do you remember, and if you don't, that's fine also, but was it the same or a different detective who talked to you on the 19th and the 21st?
I believe it was the same.
Okay. And so after you finished that interaction with police officers, what did you do?
As far as, can you rephrase? Can you ask?
Sure.
Once again?
Yeah. So we've talked about you go and talk to the police, then you go and do a blood draw. What did you do after you got done with the blood draw?
We went back to my parents' house.
Okay. Obviously, there's an investigation going on during this time period. Did that investigation continue to your knowledge?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How, during this time period, how are people who were in your life reacting to the investigation and to you?
I noticed distance.
Overruled. You may continue.
I'll ask a question again, Mr. Melton. How were people in your life or around your life reacting to the investigation being ongoing and reacting to you?
I could see that there was distance occurring.
Sorry, y'all. Hang on. I'm gonna play a song and then I'll be right back once I get this fixed.
From Boston fog to courthouse stone, Aiden wore the truth like a coat. He dug through lies and copied files till the whole damn paper started to glow. He found the name of Officer John, found the edits, found the bloodless lines, found the hands that scrubbed the page and the grin they wore when they sold that lie. They said, let it sleep. They said, walk away, but Aiden kept the receipts in a drawer that shook all day. Never poke a turtle, never poke a turtle. Slow step, hard shell, truth crawls, but it hits like hell. Never poke a turtle, never poke a turtle. Commonwealth came with polished words and suits that fit a guilty frame. They leaned on names, they bent the facts, tried to bury John, then bury the blame. Aiden stood in the floodlight notes and a jaw like iron. He said, if you want this dead and gone, you'll have to kill every page I'm on. They locked the door, they raised the heat, but every thread they poured only sharpened what he'd seen. Never poke a turtle, never poke a turtle. Slow step, hard shell, truth crawls but it hits like hell. Never poke a turtle, never poke a turtle. You can hide for a while, but you can't hide forever. And late came the lesson, too late for their hand. What moves in the dark still leaves marks in the sand. Aiden from Boston still stands in the rain. One man, one story, and a city saying names. Never poke a turtle, never poke a turtle. Slow step, hard shell, truth crawls but it hits like hell. Never poke a turtle, never poke a turtle. You can hide for a while, but you can't hide forever.
This is
Oh, shit. Sorry, y'all. Okay, back to it.
Damage to that wall?
Oh, yes, sir.
Did it do any damage to your hands?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Good. What kind of damage did it do to your hands?
It scratched my hands up. It swole my hands up. Fortunately, I didn't break anything, and I guess fortunately, I didn't find a stud in the wall. It was mainly sheetrock, and as I went through the sheetrock, I was finding, I believe it was the concrete siding on the outside. It was an exterior wall, so I was punching through the sheetrock and hitting the concrete siding to the outside, and I was knocking, to my knowledge, I was knocking the siding loose also.
Okay. The next day, that's January 20th of 2001, after you stopped at your, townhouse, apartment, whatever you want to call it, at Jamestown, where did you and your parents go after that?
We went back to my parents' house.
Okay. So on the 21st, did you speak with law enforcement again on that day?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what is it that you were going back to speak with them about and do?
I believe to answer further questions. At that point, they were asking for further information to my knowledge.
Okay.
And once I got there, we had discussed blood work and other, blood work and other things that may be needed, like hair samples and such.
Okay. Was this something that you were having to do because of a court order or search warrant or something?
No, sir.
Okay. Is it something that you did voluntarily?
Absolutely.
Okay. At this point, we're 2 days away from January 19th. You've already testified about how you felt the police were looking at you. Did you take a lawyer with you to that meeting on the 21st?
No, sir.
Okay. Were you honest with police about the questions they were asking you to the best of your recollection?
Absolutely.
Sustained. I'll ask you to rephrase if you choose to rephrase.
Okay. Did the police ask you questions?
Yes, sir.
Did you answer them honestly?
Yes, sir.
Okay. On that day, January 21st, were there any photographs taken?
They had taken pictures of my hands. I had to remove my shirt. They had taken pictures of my body, I believe, which included from my head to my waist, and I can't remember if I had to remove my pants, but I do remember from my waist up having to strip down to have photos taken also.
Okay. After you finished having photographs taken, did you end up having blood drawn?
Yes.
Okay. And do you remember, and if you don't, that's fine also, but was it the same or a different detective who talked to you on the 19th and the 21st?
I believe it was the same.
Okay. And so after you finished that interaction with police officers, what did you do?
As far as, can you rephrase? Can you ask?
Sure.
Me once again?
Yeah. So we've talked about you go and talk to the police, then you go and do a blood draw. What did you do after you got done with the blood draw?
We went back to my parents' house.
Okay. Obviously, there's an investigation going on during this time period. Did that investigation continue to your knowledge?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How during this time period, how are people who were in your life reacting to the investigation and to you?
I noticed distance.
Overruled. You may continue.
I'll ask the question again, Mr. Melton. How were people in your life or around your life reacting to the investigation being ongoing and reacting to you?
I could see that there was distance occurring. Like people would just it started fading away. Friends, and even, I hate to say, even family members that would just stop communication. And if it was discussed or brought up, or if I was in an area or a room that people knew of what had happened to Tara, I felt that I was being looked at as the person that would have caused this. And that's the perception I was feeling. That's feelings that I was getting.
You testified earlier about having a tendency to bottle up your emotions. How were you doing emotionally during that time period?
I'm struggling. I am struggling. Daily, I have to put on the best way I could describe as a facade to make it through the day. I understand that I have to make it through daily, but at night or whenever things stop, such as work or things that can keep me sidetracked, especially the nights were horrible. I would find myself on my knees, pounding the ground, the sand, whatever, just finding myself so mad at God that I couldn't understand. And I would wake up so many times for the longest time in fetal position where I just cried myself to exhaustion. But every day, each time I would be so angry
and find myself in this position. As mad as I was and not understanding how God could allow the devil and his angels' house, I would feel warmth and thoughts in my head that weren't my own, telling me not to give up, not to give in. And it gave me the strength to get up each time and strap on my boots and carry on through the day. And this cycle continued for a long time until I just couldn't recall certain things, and it would fade. But through the days, I would just find a way to make it through and keep my mind occupied, and just dread of the next night to come. And it was so difficult. But I found a way. Jesus helped me get through this and carry forward. Is that,
Mr. Melton,
yes, sir.
Overruled. Overruled.
Mr. Melton, I'm going to ask you, sir, did law enforcement continue to reach out to you at certain times during the investigation?
Yes, sir.
Okay. When they reached out to you, would they ask you for things or ask you questions, or what would they talk to you about?
Just different things. I'm sorry, it's hard for me to get my thoughts together at the moment.
Well, that's okay. Let me ask you this, at any point, did you refuse to speak with law enforcement or retain an attorney to speak with law enforcement?
No, sir.
Okay. What was your mindset as far as, why you were continuing to be cooperative with the investigation?
I always believed that the truth would set me free. I had nothing to hide.
Mr. Melton, thank you very much. I don't have any other questions for you right now.
Cross-examination, Mr. Cruz.
Good morning, Mr. Melton. My name is Attorney Amai Cruz. I have the privilege and honor of representing Mr. Faust. And under the authority of this court, I'm going to ask you some questions, okay?
Certainly.
Okay. Why didn't you cry
When?
just now? Why didn't any tears fall out of your eyes?
They are falling now.
Well, let's talk about January 19th. Would you agree that today you were much more emotional than you were on the day that you learned of Ms. Baker's death?
I was holding it together best I could.
So your borderline fiance is murdered and you were holding it together on the 19th, but 25 years later, you have emotion about it?
In that moment, when I'm finding this out,
Mr. Melton, that's a yes or no question.
Judge, the witness is allowed to answer Mr. Cruz's question.
That's correct.
When this tragedy occurred, and I'm taking this information in, I am telling myself inside, do not collapse in this moment. Hold it together. There are other people that are also relying on you. And I had to get through this. And that's where I'm at.
Who was relying on you during your initial interview with police?
The police, her family, her friends, anyone who loved her.
So the police were relying on you to hold it together during the interview.
If I'm not holding it together, I can't think things through.
Sure. Did you know that your DNA was found in Miss Baker's anus?
I was informed.
Who told you that?
Liz and Jeremy from the GBI.
When did they tell you that? Because in the recorded interview that we have, they didn't mention that to you.
That's my recollection.
My question is when? When did they tell you?
If that's not the correct recollection, I'm not sure at this moment.
Let me ask you this. When was the last time you met with the state?
This morning.
Okay. And they talked to you about your testimony?
We went over what the courtroom would be like.
Okay. So this is rehearsed. Is that fair to say?
I wouldn't say rehearsed.
But you went over it not just this morning, you went over it a couple of times last week. Is that right?
We have established a process in which would occur in this courtroom as far as steps that are taken once I get here and whatnot.
Okay. So the questions that you were asked today, you already knew you were going to be asked those questions, correct?
Yes.
Mr. Melton, I am going to
Can I say something to this?
That's
Thank you, ma'am.
Mr. Melton, would you like a slim mark or a big marker?
Slim.
All right. Let the record reflect that I am going to give you a black Sharpie, okay? I'd like you to write the very first time that you mentioned during your direct examination in regards to your actions or where you went on January 19, 2001. Do you understand that?
Yes.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
May.
Can you please write the first place you went on January 19th on that board there?
And Your Honor, I would ask that if Mr. Cruz is going to ask the witness to engage in whatever this is, that be repositioned to a place where the jury can actually see it.
I could do that. We'll start on page 2.
We'd like to also be able to see it. I guess, Judge, do you want us to move or do you
No, I
want
think-
him to move it over there?
Mr. Cruz, I think perhaps moving that back would be best for everyone to take a look at it. Thank you, Mr. Hill.
Sure.
All right, thanks, sir. May I proceed?
Sure. Can you write the first place you went and the time that you went to that location? Okay, so I want to make sure I'm correct. You wrote Nash Plumbing 7:30 to 7:45. Okay, so you remember from January 19, 2001, you went to Nash Plumbing between those times. Is that fair to say? Okay, but you could not remember when law enforcement asked you if you knew Miss Baker was going to be alone in 2006? You can take a seat, Mr. Miller.
Along the way, I'm questioned about certain things, and I pull up my best recollection. Post this, I've been traumatized. I'm grieving. My mind is certain things and certain times. It's hard to pull from. And in those moments, stress also, in times, it's more difficult than others in certain moments to recollect certain things. And sir.
Let me catch up. So it's easier to recollect an alibi than it is to recollect whether or not the girl that you love told you that she was going to be home alone.
For this question, it's argumentative and improper.
Sustained.
Sure. So it's easy to remember where you went on the 19th. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Mr. Melton, so after you left Nash Plumbing, where did you go?
After I left Nash Plumbing, I went to the bank.
Okay. Can you write the time that you arrived at the bank on the board? You can just put bank and then you can put the time. Okay. Sure. So just ask you, so you can remember that you went to Nash Plumbing, and then after that, you can remember that you went to the bank from January 19, 2001.
That's correct.
But you cannot remember from January 18th whether or not Miss Baker told you she was going to be alone?
At that time, it could depend on when the question's asked. It's not, if it's in a stressful moment, I'm going through things and trying to pull from times prior to this, when I'm not trying to, how should I say, lock in on certain things previous to this, it is difficult.
Would you agree?
Previous to to her death. Go ahead.
I didn't hear you. Say that one more time.
I should say, it's like certain days, if somebody asks you what you have for breakfast, I couldn't tell you. But if I'm concentrating on after certain times, yes, I can on certain things. But it's hard to describe.
So I'll switch gears because I do want to talk about a difficult subject with you. You mentioned that you were told that your DNA was in Miss Baker's anus. Is that right?
Yes, there was a point in time. I found out.
And we've agreed that that time didn't occur during your recorded interview. Is that right?
I can't recall.
That is fair. So let me ask you this, Mr. Melton. You would agree that Miss Baker did not engage in anal sex with you. Is that correct?
That's correct.
You would agree that Miss Baker was sexually assaulted anally. Is that correct?
I wouldn't really know if she was sexually assaulted anally. Like, I don't.
Well, we can't have it both ways, Mr. Miller.
I don't understand the.
Previously stated that Ms. Baker, not Ms. Baker, I'm sorry, Ms. Bigham
I see.
and Jeremy Howell told you that your DNA was in her anus. Can we agree on that? Is that fair to say?
Maybe I'm mistaken on how I found that information out. Maybe
I'm going to object to lack of personal knowledge. Mr. Cruz is asking this witness about information relayed to him as hearsay by other witnesses who had the actual information. So I think that's both lack of personal knowledge as well as calling for hearsay.
All right. Any response to the objection, Mr. Cruz?
Sure. Mr. Melton stated that he was aware that his DNA was found in Ms. Baker's anus. He stated that Ms. Bigham and Jeremy Howell were the individuals that told him, and we're fleshing out his knowledge in regards to what he's aware of, Your Honor.
I think as to the form of the question, I'm going to sustain the objection. You may rephrase if you choose to do so.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor. But there should be no reason that your DNA should be in Ms. Baker's anus. Would you agree?
I mean, other than if we have had sex and it has transferred from there and say drained down to that area. And
That is interesting that you say drain, because did you know that's the exact same thing the state is arguing in this case?
I mean, it makes sense though.
So your DNA is in her anus because it drained down in her anus. Is that your position?
I would say that would.
Again, Your Honor, lack of personal knowledge, lack of foundation. There's been no foundation laid that Mr. Melton's aware of these things. That would all be through GBI crime lab witnesses who do have personal knowledge and scientific information. And so there's no foundation for these questions, and he's asking for things that are outside of Mr. Melton's personal knowledge. He's asking about things.
I would object to a speaking objection, Your Honor, and just ask the state to state the ground.
Okay, I'm going to overrule that objection. He was just explaining his objection. I'm going to respond in the same way as the last objection. I'm going to sustain the objection as to the form of the question, allow you to rephrase if you choose to do so.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor. Would you agree that in order for your DNA to drain into Ms. Baker's anus, you would have to have sex with her? Can we agree on that point?
Agree.
Okay. Did you have sex with Ms. Baker the day of her death?
No, sir.
The last time you saw Ms. Baker, was it 6 days before, 10 days before?
From the beginning, I said I saw her the weekend prior.
From the beginning, you've said that?
Yes, sir.
That you've seen her the weekend, and that has always been what you said.
There was a time that I was confused,
Mm-hmm.
and it was 20 plus years later.
Mm-hmm.
And then I made a statement that I felt like maybe it was 10 days prior, and I was confused at that point because I have always said, from even meeting with the detectives from the beginning, that we were together that weekend. And then time had gone by, and I had even spoke out publicly for the first time.
Mr. Melton, to my question, is that a yes or a no?
Judge, he's in the middle of providing his answer. Again, the witness has a right to answer Mr. Cruz's questions in the manner that he believes the answer should be given.
It's non-responsive, Your Honor, and I would ask the state to stop the speaking objections because they are coaching the witness in the middle of his testimony.
Okay, I'm going to overrule that objection, and I'm going to sustain the state's objection. This witness is allowed to respond to your question, and if he's in the middle of responding, no one can interrupt. You may continue if you choose to do so.
Well, time had gone by. And then I had spoken publicly. At this point, I have stated over and over again that we were together the weekend before. And then there was a point in time that Tara's mother had stated that she was at her house.
I'm going to object to hearsay.
I am going to sustain that objection.
Your Honor,
Yes.
I don't want to send the jury out, but I would like to approach to understand the parameters
correct.
of which I could.
Accepting Mr. Cruz's representation that what he's going to play is the answer that he just asked Mr. Melton about that he didn't recall, I don't have any objection.
All right. And it is at that minute mark that the defense has just articulated is admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And you said that was what, Mr. Cruz? I'm sorry, 14.
1442
Thank you. Go ahead.
through 1448.
Okay.
Your Honor.
Working there and driving back and forth. Well, my parents, that we had a finished basement. So then that's
And so
where I was keeping well, pretty much Jersey. There and driving back and forth. Well, my parents, that we had a finished basement. So then that's where I was keeping well, pretty much Jersey.
Okay, did you hear that? I was driving back and forth. We pretty much had a huge basement. That's where I was keeping, and then I cut the audio off.
I hear that.
So you were staying in the basement, is that correct?
I would stay in, there's times I stay in both. We had finished basement and had the bedroom upstairs.
Okay.
And the furnished basement was set up as a place to stay, a place to hang out for whoever. And then also had my,
Overruled.
So
You may continue with your response.
the finished basement would have like a couch, sofa, TV, things, and in my old bedroom upstairs also had a bed and so forth. And I would stay and, hang out in one, stay in the other, depending on who was there at the time, if we had visitors or whatnot. So I would stay in the basement if nobody else is using it.
narrative.
I'm going to overrule the objection. You may continue.
So with that being said, I feel like kind of both are true. I had my old bedroom and they had a furnished basement.
I'd like to show you what's been marked as Defense Exhibit 33 and Defense Exhibit 34. Let the record reflect that I'm showing Mr. Melton what has been marked as Defense Exhibit 33 and Defense Exhibit 34. And Mr. Melton, you recognize Defense Exhibit 33 and Defense Exhibit 34 as photographs of your house. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And I believe Defense Exhibit 33 is the side of your house, and Defense Exhibit 34 is the back side of your house. Is that right?
That's correct.
Your Honor, I would move to, have those photographs been altered in any way?
No.
And that's a fair and accurate depiction of your home. Is that correct?
Correct.
Your Honor, I would move to admit Defense Exhibit 33 and Defense Exhibit 34 into evidence.
No objection.
They are admitted.
Now, Mr. Melton, you would agree there's a reason why you would say that you were staying in the second story of the house, correct?
As far as
There's a backdoor exit on the basement. I believe that's Defense Exhibit 34, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right?
there's a basement exit. Yes, sir.
And there's also a side exit from the basement, which was Defense Exhibit 33. Is that correct?
There's one exit. There's a door on the backside that goes into like a dead space that's more for access.
So Defense Exhibit 34, the backside is a door to enter and exit the basement where you don't have to go in the house. Is that right?
The side door would be. The back door is not.
But either way, there's an exit there's an exit from the basement and the entrance into the basement. Is that right?
That's correct.
Now, do you recall your parents talking to law enforcement?
They did.
And they were one of your alibi witnesses. Is that right? Were you aware of that?
I would say yes. They knew I was there.
And you're their only child?
I am.
And by the time law enforcement spoke with him, you had been staying with him for 4 months. Is that correct?
I had started staying with them after this incident. Yes. So, yes.
After Tara's passing?
That's correct.
So if any other witness said you moved home months before, that would be untrue.
That's correct.
I want to talk to you about Miss Baker a little bit, okay? We'll switch gears and come back to some of this stuff. Would it be fair to describe Miss Baker as super friendly?
That'd be a fair statement.
You would also describe her as down to earth.
Correct.
She did not have any racial biases.
No, sir.
And although she was a law student, you would agree that she was not pretentious.
I mean, no, sir. Not unless it's for little specialty things like her collections of things, but no.
Now, is it fair to describe Miss Baker as a casual dresser, shorts, hiking boots, sweat top type of girl?
Yes, sir.
She was more of a flats over heels kind of girl. Is that fair to say?
Fair to say.
Okay. And she had more of on her day-to-day appearance, she had more of a casual appearance that did not include daily makeup. Is that right?
I would say, light makeup, if any.
I'd like to show you what would be marked as Defense Exhibit 35. Your Honor, I'd like to approach the witness to show him Defense Exhibit 35. Do you recognize the photo of Miss Baker?
It's Miss Baker. Miss Tara.
And is that how Miss Baker, makeup-wise, hair-wise, is that how she carried herself mostly on a daily basis?
I'll say yes.
And that's the fair, accurate depiction of Miss Baker as you would remember her.
I'll say yes, sir.
Okay. Your Honor, I would move to admit Defense Exhibit 35 into evidence.
Any objection?
No objection, Judge.
It is admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. Now I'd like to ask you about the times that you visited Miss Baker's home in Deer Park. Is that okay?
Okay.
All right. Is it fair to say that you've probably visited Deer Park more times than you could count?
I mean, she wasn't there a terribly long time, but I would say, yeah. I mean, we've been there many times.
Okay. And during the times that you visit Miss Baker's apartment, you'd see normal foot traffic. Is that fair to say?
That's fair to say.
And that foot traffic was due to a Walmart being on the opposite side of the neighborhood. Is that correct?
I'd say there's a Walmart. Yes, sir. And
Now, the majority of that foot traffic, it was African Americans walking. Is that fair to say?
it's fair to say.
And those African Americans were typically in the late teenage, young adult range. Is that correct?
I would say it would vary, but I would say young teenagers, I would say.
Now, in regards to Miss Baker's passing, on January 19th, you testified that you went to the scene of Miss Baker's death.
That's correct.
And while at the crime scene, you were asked to identify Miss Baker.
That's correct.
Okay. And you were shown a single photo of Miss Baker. Is that right?
That's correct.
And to let the record reflect that I'm showing the state what has been marked as Defense Exhibit 36. Let the record reflect that I'm showing Mr. Melton what has been marked as Defense Exhibit 36. You recognize that photo?
I don't believe it's the photo I saw.
This was the photo that you were shown to ask to identify Ms. Baker?
No,
This was not the
I
photo.
don't believe that was the photo.
Can you describe the photo that you were shown to identify Ms. Baker?
I believe that her head was turned slightly. And there was coverage that
Mr. Melton, you're just shown a photograph of Ms. Baker deceased, and you have not shed a tear.
Come on now. I think I need a moment. Like,
Sure.
turn it all together. Okay.
So let's switch gears while we're here. You testified on direct examination that you became so upset that you punched the wall in your apartment. Is that correct?
When I unleashed the emotions, yes.
Okay. And when you unleashed the emotions, you became extremely angry. Is that correct?
I was upset. Yes, I was upset at the situation.
And the way you chose to release your emotions was through violence. Would you agree?
Towards that wall.
But you told the jury that the injuries to your hands came from punching the wall. Is that right?
My injuries came from punching the wall.
Okay. And we've already agreed. Well, you testified that the wall was sheetrock. Is that correct?
That's correct.
I'd like to show you what would be marked as 36. Defense Exhibit 37. Defense Exhibit 38. Defense Exhibit 39. And Defense Exhibit 40. Let the record reflect that I am showing the state what has been marked as Defense Exhibit 37 through Defense Exhibit 40. Your Honor, let the record reflect that I'm showing Mr. Melton what has been marked as Defense Exhibit 38 through Defense Exhibit 40.
I have 37 on.
I'm sorry, 37 through 40. Please forgive me. Is it okay if I approach you, Mr. Melton?
Yes, yes, sir.
Please take a moment and take a look at Defense Exhibit 37 through Defense Exhibit 40. You recognize Defense Exhibit 37 through Defense Exhibit 40 as the wall that you punched. Is that correct?
I would say yes.
Okay. Is that a fair and accurate depiction of how that wall looked after you punched it?
I'd say from what I could recollect.
Sure. Has that photograph been altered in any way?
I'm not sure. I wouldn't.
But you have no reason to believe that photograph has been altered in any way. Is that correct?
I have no reason to believe.
Your Honor, I would ask to admit Defense Exhibit 37 through Defense Exhibit 40 into evidence.
Any objection?
No objection.
They are admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would ask to publish to the jury.
Granted.
Now let's talk about the injuries to your hands, Mr. Melton.
Yes, sir.
Court's indulgence. And the photographs of your hands have already been admitted through, as Defense Exhibit 29. Elected. And Your Honor, I just asked you to republish the photographs of the hands to the jury.
Granted.
Court's indulgence, Your Honor. I need one of these photographs. Mr. Melton, I am going to show you one of the photos from Defense Exhibit 29, and we're going to talk about some of these injuries. All right, can you see your hands on the screen, Mr. Melton?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you would agree, for the purposes of the record, I am making a fist. Mr. Melton, you would agree that a fist looks like this, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, can you make a fist and show the jury what your fist looks like? Okay, excellent. I want to talk about this injury here on the side of your thumb. Can you explain how you got that injury from punching drywall?
My hands are from work.
Are they?
I mean, no, I'm saying my hands from work are naturally have nicks and such on them, but that very well could have occurred. I mean, from punching through a wall, there's also things inside the wall. There's siding on the wall that has, once you go through, there's nails that may have been there. But at that point, I mean, I have little nicks and cuts just from my profession.
Mr. Melton, isn't it fair to say as a plumber, you wear gloves?
No, sir.
You never wear gloves?
I wear gloves, but not 100% of the time. No, sir.
Well, I showed you Defense Exhibit 37 through Defense Exhibit 40. There's a pair of gloves hanging on your wall, Mr. Miller,
Hanging on my wall.
but you don't use them.
When you're working with your hands, you work quickly also, and you don't have time to always have gloves on. And at that point in time, I'm not working with raw sewage or anything. This is new materials. So with that being said, you not worried about bacteria or anything infecting your hands. You just work through it.
So today, on February 9th, 2026, you remember exactly how you were working on January 19, 2001.
It's easily to assess because I worked it for so long.
Sure. But you don't remember whether or not Ms. Baker told you she was going to be home alone the day before her death.
You know, in moments under stress, I can't recall everything.
So let me ask you about this injury here. So did this come from the wall or did that come from work?
Is that an injury?
Right here.
I don't know if I.
Or how about this
Is
injury
that-
here, Mr. Melton? How would you get this injury on the top of your hand going in this direction from punching sheetrock?
That even appears. Oh yes, when you punch through walls, you got to pull your hand back. I'm punching into a wall, pulling my hand back, punching through a wall, and even at work, I have nicks, cuts, and even burns from soldering pipes and hot materials. I can't tell if that's an injury from hitting something or an injury from work, and it may look like that even looks like it could be even a slight solder. It's hard to say. I mean, it's hard for me to assess that.
But this is the first time in 25 years that you've ever made the statement that these injuries were from work. Would you agree?
I've never been asked the question as far as if they're from.
And just to make sure we're on
That I can recall.
just to make sure we're on the same page, your exact statement was to law enforcement is the injuries. Matter of fact, we don't even have to go to law enforcement. Your exact statement in the court before these jurors was that these injuries came from punching the wall in your apartment. Do you recall making that statement?
Was this prior to being shown pictures?
Mr. Melton, do you recall making that statement?
Yes, I had injuries from my hands from hitting the wall. That's what I recall.
But when I asked you about the injuries, you are now saying that they're from plumbing and hitting the wall. Is that right?
Well, when you're pointing out specific things, like I do have from plumbing, you're going to have nicks and cuts or whatnot from that.
My question is, during my examination of you, this is your first time saying that these injuries are from plumbing. That's a yes or no question, if you can.
Since you just asked that question, I guess I would have to say yes.
And once the jurors finish looking at the photos, we'll go over some other photos as well. Now, on the day of Tyra's death, you voluntarily went to the Athens-Clarke County Police Department.
That's correct.
And I believe the state asked you a couple of times, did you hire a lawyer or did you refuse to speak to him? When you agree as the boyfriend, if you refuse to speak to him, you would look even more guilty?
Restate the question.
Sure. The state asked you on direct examination multiple times about whether or not you got a lawyer or whether or not you refused to talk to him. Do you recall being asked that question?
Yes.
Okay. When you agree as Ms. Baker's boyfriend, you would look more suspicious if you refuse to talk to law enforcement.
If I refused.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
So we agree on that. Is that right?
Of course. I mean, I'm always wanting to be cooperative.
Sure. But that was a yes to my question, right?
Yes.
Okay. You would also agree you would look more suspicious if you refuse to give blood. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. You will look more suspicious if you refuse to give hair. Is that right?
Correct.
You would look suspicious if you refused to talk to him. Is that correct?
Correct.
Now, you conducted an interview with Officer Bill Ricketts on the 19th. Do you recall that interview?
I believe so.
And you state you believe so. Are you certain that you remember conducting?
Yes, I remember an interview on the 19th.
And your father was present with you during that interview. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And he sat with you for the entire interview.
Yes.
Okay. And during that interview is when you told law enforcement that you were at your parents' home at 7:15 on January 19th. Is that correct?
Yes.
Do you recall during the interview being asked how would you describe you and Miss Baker's relationship?
Yes.
And your response was that she was your borderline fiance.
I recollect.
Okay. And you advised him that you and Miss Baker were very serious at the time of her death.
Yes.
And I believe you established with the state that the truck you used for work at the time of Miss Baker's death was your own work truck, the truck you purchased. Is that right?
Correct.
Now let's talk about Josh McCourty. The state asked you about your relationship with Josh, and you stated that he was just a coworker that you met at McCart Plumbing. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Josh stays less than a mile away from your home. Is that correct?
Correct.
Josh knew where you lived. Is that right?
Yes, he worked for me.
Okay. You knew where he lived?
Once we became co-workers.
And you two attended the same high school?
That I'm unsure of.
You're unsure if you attended the same high school with someone you stated was your employee, Mr. Melton?
That's correct.
But to law enforcement, you only identified Josh McCourty as somebody that you work with. Is that right?
Correct.
Now, you stated on direct examination that while at Nash Plumbing, you loaded up supplies. Is that fair to say?
Correct.
Okay. But at no time did you provide law enforcement with any documents related to your employment at Nash Plumbing. Is that right?
That's correct.
So in regards to your alibi that you were at Nash Plumbing at 7:30 through 7:45, we just have to take your word for it. Is that correct?
I would say so at that point.
And law enforcement did, in fact, just take your word for it. Is that right?
I'm not sure. I would say to my knowledge.
Sure. Now, you stated after leaving, today you stated after leaving Nash Plumbing, you went to the bank.
Correct.
And did you go over that with the state when you all met?
I knew when I had gone to the bank, but yes.
Okay. And you all discussed your timeline before you came to testify here today?
I had gone over it, a refresher.
However, on January 19th, 2001, you told law enforcement after leaving Nash Plumbing, you went to Truck Customs. Is that right?
I'm sorry, I may have not heard you all the way. Say it again.
Sure. On January 19th, 2001, when law enforcement asked you what were you doing that day, you told law enforcement that after leaving Nash Plumbing, you went to Truck Customs.
Hey, Shelly. Good to see you.
On the 19th. Yes, I did say that.
And you advised law enforcement that you arrived at Truck Customs around 9:30 or maybe earlier. Is that right?
Not earlier. Probably 9:30ish to 10.
Mr. Melton, this isn't the first time that you've had the opportunity to discuss your whereabouts on January 19, 2001. Is that correct?
I have been questioned in the past
Okay. And you,
several times. Is that
and you told long, or do you recall making the statement, Truck Customs spelled with the K, TRUK, KUSTOM, and you were asked, okay, and do you know about what time it was? You made the statement, first time was about early 9:30, maybe earlier. Do you recall making that statement?
That seems fair.
So at some point you leave Truck Customs, is that correct?
That's correct.
And I'm sorry, Mr. Melton, do you still have that marker I gave you? All right, perfect. Can you write Truck Customs on that under the bank? And the time that you were at Truck Customs? All right, and you can say right there, Mr. Melton, if you're comfortable, you can write the time next to Truck Customs. Okay, so now it's not 9:30, it is 10 o'clock. Okay, let's do 9:30 through 10, just to make sure that's accurate for the jury.
And Judge, I would ask that if there were going to be questions asked, that the witness be allowed to return to the witness stand so he can speak into the microphone.
I think that makes sense, so everyone can hear, including Ms. Satterfield. So you may have a seat and answer any questions in front of the microphone. Go ahead.
So at some point you would agree that you leave Truck Customs, is that fair?
That's correct.
Okay, and when you leave Truck Customs, you go to Grayson, Georgia, correct?
Correct. I go to Grayson.
Now, and you can write Grayson on the board for us, please. All right, so do you recall speaking with Detective Ricketts 2 days later on January 21st, 2001?
Yes.
And would you have any reason to disagree that January 21st, 2001 was a Sunday?
No.
During your second interview, you advised Detective Ricketts that you stopped by the bank. Is that correct?
Yes. Then I had failed to mention that I went by the bank that morning. Yes.
And you stated that you were in the bank for a total of 35 minutes. Is that right?
Sounds about right.
Okay. Next to bank, can you put 35 MIN and circle it? Just you put it there, that's fine. Now, during your second interview, do you recall Detective Ricketts coming to you and telling you that he went to speak with someone at Truck Customs?
Yes.
Okay. And in response, before he could tell you what he learned, you would agree that you changed your answer about the time that you went to Truck Customs. Is that correct?
I'm not sure. Not.
Do you recall making a statement? It's like before 12. I mean, it was probably 10:30, 11:30. Do you recall making that statement?
I don't recall the statements, but yeah, I would say, I mean, I would say, okay. Yes.
Yes or no, Mr. Melton? Do you recall making that statement?
I'll say yes. Yeah. Yes.
So is it fair to say that the actual time is between 10 a.m. and 11:30 on the 19th? Based on your statement?
As far as being at Truck Customs,
Yes, sir.
and you stated what you did say. What did you just say? I'm sorry.
Would it be fair to say that the actual time of being at Truck Customs is sometime between 10 a.m. and 11:30 a.m.?
That's pretty broad, but yeah, I would say, okay, it would fit in there.
Now, during the January 21st, 2001 interview, you were told for the first time that Ms. Baker was sexually assaulted. Is that fair?
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. During the January 21st, 2001 interview, you were told that Tara was probably sexually assaulted.
I don't recall being told at that point. I had been told Adam, Tara's brother, had called me that morning and had kind of informed me that this is what we're looking at, that they had been informed.
So let me ask the question again. On January 21st, 2001, you knew that Tara had been sexually assaulted. Is that right?
At that day, yes, I had been informed that day.
Now, law enforcement also informed you of that. Do you recall?
I don't recall.
Would hearing the recording refresh your recollection?
I would say if I heard it, it would help reflect. Yes.
Your Honor, I'd ask to refresh this witness's recollection outside the presence of the jury.
Right, and this is a good time for a restroom break, so I'm going to send you all into the jury room. This will be a good restroom break, so we'll take a little bit of time. Please don't discuss the case. And we're going to take a break as well.
Yes, ma'am. Do you want me to wait before I play it after the break?
Yes, sir. I think that would be best.
Interview, I'm going to state it has said it. You were told that Tara was probably sexually assaulted. At this time, we're refreshing his recollection. We were playing Chris Melton's January 21st, 2001 recorded interview. Minute mark 11:51 to 12:02 for purposes of refreshing Mr. Melton's recollection. Your Honor, you will.
Oh, it reverted well? It's on lawyer right. Oh, thank you.
Mr. Melton, I'd like you to listen to this and let me know if your memory is refreshed. If you need to hear any other portions of it, I don't mind playing, okay?
Phlebotomists and that kind of blood people there, they take it and store it, put in evidence, and then on Monday morning, we've got a good working relationship. They'll start right away for us and tell us exactly what we've got. Did their thing Saturday, and of course on the weekend there's none of the phlebotomists and that kind of blood people there. They take it, store it, put in evidence, and then on Monday morning, we've got a good working relationship. They'll start right away for us and tell us exactly what we've got. Tara was probably sexually assaulted.
Yes, sir.
All right, Your Honor, the witness's recollection has been refreshed.
All right.
I am ready for the jury to come.
All right, could you bring the jury in, please, sir? Thank you. You all may be seated. Mr. Cruz, you have the floor.
Thank you, Your Honor. Now, Mr. Melton, during the January 21st, 2001 interview, you were told that Tara was probably sexually assaulted. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. You would agree that you didn't start crying. Is that correct?
Correct.
You didn't become upset. Is that correct?
I would say not correct.
You said that's incorrect.
Incorrect.
Did you make outward expressions of anger?
No.
You didn't say you needed a moment to yourself, right?
Correct.
You didn't even say, I hope you find who did this before I do, did you?
Correct.
Instead, you asked calmly, did you find some stuff on her like semen? Is that right?
Correct.
Now, at the conclusion of the January 21st, 2001 interview, and I believe you've seen the photographs of your hands, pictures were taken of your hands. Is that right?
Correct.
And I think I have a better version of those hand photos I would like to show you. This is going to be marked as Defense Exhibit 41. There are 13 photos in Defense Exhibit 31. It will be a omnibus exhibit, photos or better quality photos of Mr. Melton's hands. And while the state is reviewing the same, Your Honor, I'd just like to clarify the record with Defense Exhibit 29. There are There are 9 photos in Defense Exhibit 29.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Just for purposes of clarifying the record, for Defense Exhibit 29, there are 9 photos collected in Defense Exhibit 29. Let the record reflect that I'm showing Mr. Melton the 13 photos of his hands marked as Defense Exhibit 41. You would agree that Defense Exhibit 41 is, you would agree that Defense Exhibit 41 is the same thing you saw in Defense Exhibit 29. Let me change that. Please forgive me. You'd agree that Defense Exhibit 41 are photographs of your hands. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, and a little bit better quality than Defense Exhibit 29. Would you agree?
I would agree.
Okay, and those photos are a fair and accurate depiction of your hands as they were on January 21st, 2001. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay, Your Honor, I would move to introduce Defense Exhibit 41 and the 13 photos included in same into evidence.
Any objection?
No objection, Judge.
They are admitted.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor. Now, after the photographs were taken of your hands, while at the hospital, you did a blood draw as well. Is that correct?
Correct.
And you remember giving that blood draw. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay, and that's January 21st, 2001.
Correct.
Okay. After you were asked for hair and blood in January, your parents told you they're going after you, Chris. Do you recall them making that statement to you?
Yes.
Now, you discussed with the state the photograph you were shown of Miss Baker to identify her body. Do you recall us talking about that?
Hey, oh, Malin, I forgot to tell you. Guess what I got from the Asian store yesterday? I went and got me some mochi. So good. I got mango and strawberry mochi. So I think we're almost done with Chris Melton's testimony. Maybe. Maybe not. I think I'm going to call it here. And then tomorrow we will continue with his testimony and go from there. So I hope everybody has a really good day. And please like, share, and subscribe. Do all the YouTube things. Shelly, Malin, Scott, thank you for coming. Love you guys. And I will see you all tomorrow. Now.
Tara was 23. When they took her from the world, her body was violated. Her house was set on